I wanted to kind of like quickly discuss something that I thought was interesting. Something that came up a lot on Twitter regarding Mörk Borg. There are people who are saying that Mörk Borg is just basically art porn. It's not a real game. It's not a functional game. It's just Kickstarter bait. Um, and I was curious to hear what you all thought, because I mean, you've seen the book. Cliff, I know that you're doing a hack of the game, so you've actually already been playtesting it. How do you feel the game actually plays? Like, is it a complete game?
I think there's definitely a lot of innovation to it in its simplicity and elegance.
Mm-hmm.
I love how the attack and defense roles work, and the way it's just sort of blended into the art style. You know, I think it's fair to say that it does lean more into the art presentation than
Mm-hmm.
it does into the game design, and it doesn't give you too many initial things to like start doing something with it. There's a lot of atmosphere and just really thick setting feel,
Mm-hmm.
but not as much as far as to like what am I doing here and why. Uh, so I think some of that comes from what they've been hoping to see is people designing adventures and expanding it, and we've definitely seen some of that since. So people do have ideas on where to go with it, but yeah, I think it does kind of fall into that art indie game aesthetic, where you don't explain as much of how to play the game as more traditional RPGs do. Whether that makes it just art porn, I don't think so. I think it's a pretty cool, functional game, and it certainly inspired me to, do my own design. That's a very heavily hacked version of it. So I think there's definitely plenty of strong game design innovation in there. So I don't think that's a fair criticism.
Yeah, I don't think
But
so either. One of
but
the
but I do see where it comes from in a good faith argument.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things about it, I mean, absolutely, it is ridiculously over the top on its art. Fine, I get it. But the if it was just that, then I'd be like, okay, sure, it's just art porn, and Kickstarter bait. Fine. But at the same time, like at the back of the book, there is literally like a two-page spread of every single rule that was given like obnoxious amount of page space for like two sentence rules. All of that's condensed into like an actual usable table. So I started thinking about it, and this actually got me thinking into something that I thought was interesting is um we're very visual creatures, humans, right? And even people who are used to textbooks, like academic kind of textbooks, um we've been, introducing pictures to like into our own textbooks, into school textbooks and stuff, just to like help jazz things up because it's proven that it does help. So I started thinking about it. I'm like, I know that I'm encouraged to thumb through the book a lot more to look at the pictures, especially when it's like presented in such a way. And then B, because like a two-sentence rule gets its own page in like this big splashy thing. Like there's one page for carrying capacity, which is always a rule that no one ever remembers in any RPG.
Nobody likes that rule.
Well, sure, exactly. Nobody likes the rule, and everybody always forgets it. Nobody ever knows where to find it if it does get called into question. So everybody always just ends up tossing it out the window. But that gets its own page. Your health gets a page. It's just like this. It's obnoxiously spread out, but it's designed in such a way where it's like I know exactly what that page looks like, where to find it if I need it.
I love the presentation of the weapons section.
Yeah.
I am now anti-Mörk Borg on principle. They have abused their power by giving carrying capacity its own page. They have crossed the line, and I can no longer support them.
But you see what I'm saying though, right? Like the art itself helps create memory for the people that are running or playing that game. It helps them like remember, if this
Right.
matters to us.
It doesn't make you mad that somebody's now going to remember the carrying capacity.
Clearly, you have something to say about that, Opti.
DM decides to actually use that.
But yeah, like I thought it was interesting, and I thought the entire argument was just so wrong and off. And plus, I do find the game to be functional when it wants to be functional. There's times when it wants to be presentational, and then when it comes to like when you look at the design for the dungeon in the back of the book, the sample dungeon, that is like one of the best laid dungeon designs I've ever seen, where it's like they have the map on sidebars on every page, and they like highlight which rooms you're in within that dungeon, that and it explains them, and then it has like little sidebars too of like effects of things in the dungeons or things that are like happening in other rooms that affect those rooms on that page. It's just, it was very well laid out. So when it wants to be functional, it is incredibly functional.
So can I just say that it's 2021 and leave your goddamn sour grapes behind, right? If you can't do it yourself, then shut the hell up. Don't look at something that's really fucking great and go, it's just this. Like that's not going to fly in 2021. We don't need that kind of negativity. You can go back home, go back to your troll bridge, go back to your internet, go back to your mom's basement. If you aren't popping out something that is chef's kiss quality innovation, God's gift to RPGs, and just shut your mouth, because everybody's got something good to say about it, and you don't need to be pooping in people's Cheerios. Just shut up.
Yeah, and hell, even if you have done that, don't have hubris.
Don't have hubris.
Don't have hubris. So cool.
We'll go find your carrying capacity page and tear you a new one.